All right, a little bit of NXT. And after watching Halloween Havoc, which we had a lot of questions, not bad ones, not bad questions. They were actually pretty good questions. Most of it, not all of it. I look at this NXT and I'm like, okay, they're going to be progressing a couple of other storylines beyond October into November, maybe into January. That's where it looks like they're going to go. Counting on, and it is going to count on, if WWE is going to do anything in the middle or the end of December. Because last year they did nothing. They just showed reruns. So the question is going to be, whatever going to build right now, going into pretty much going into Thanksgiving and then going into the next month where maybe half of that month they may give us some content and then they give us nothing until January. That's the way it looks like it may happen. So what we have here is going to be the progression of what time we're actually going to get aired. So I'm going to give you like this. Most of this I'm interested in. The rest I don't give a damn. That's a bit upsetting, but it's not surprising. Opening the Speed title. Well, technically it's not the Speed title championship, but this is the match going into the championship match. We get I look at Jasper Troy, and the reason I botch here is I look at Jasper Troy. I like him. I do like Jasper Troy. But do I believe Jasper Troy was ready for this at all? No. But here's the thing. Knowing that this is the Speed title means nothing. This is a look, main title, North American title, Speed title. This is where it is. I mean, you also got the Evolve title, which is lower than the Speed title, because Evolve title is not the one that's mainly being used on the main roster. It is the Speed one. So you got Evolve here, you got Speed here, you got North American Champion and the Championship. That's the way it's structured right now. Could change later, could change in 2026. But as it stands, this lowest tier title, you know what it feels like? And I'm sure you already know. It's basically the Cruiserweight title. Renamed the Speed title. That's what it is. And to me, I'm like, why didn't you just bring back the Cruiserweight Championship? Yes, you merged it with the North American Championship. Yes, we know this. But you could have brought it back. If you felt so strongly about it being about some of the fastest and most athletic wrestlers, you should have brought the Cruiserweight title back. That's what the way it feels it should be. So looking at Jasper Troy and Axiom, I'm like, okay, I know Axiom. He's a great wrestler. Yes, he is. He even can talk pretty well. But do I care about him on NXT? No, he's not even supposed to be there. This is just to get him to job for somebody, which was Jasper Troy. And I didn't expect Jasper Troy to lose here. And understand, his promo was okay. It wasn't bad. It actually wasn't bad for someone who hasn't been in business for very long. But do I really believe he could feel important? As he's structured now, no. But I think the reason giving the Speed title is to see what he can do, even if it's the second lowest tier title, what can he actually do with it? Because we saw in 3 minutes, he beat Axiom. Do I believe he's going to beat the Grande Americano? Don't know. I don't know yet. Maybe. But the question is not going to just be, can he win it? It's going to be, what are they going to do with him to show what he can do that will make people want to care about him? Moving on. Oh my goodness. The Evolve title. Let's make this very clear about Lash and Kendall Gray. I knew Kendall was going to retain. I just cannot see Lash, who literally is at the point she's ready to go to the main roster. Lash Legend, next to Miss Parker. Both these women may not be perfect, but they are ready for the roster. They're not perfect. I'm not going to tell you they are. Lash could use a little more polish, but the best way to get polished is to be in a different situation. She's gone as far as she can on NXT. She has. So has Miss Parker. Jada Parker is ready. Lash Legend is ready. For more better development, they must be on the main roster of Raw or SmackDown. They have reached as far as they can go on the roster of NXT. And anybody's going to say, dude, they can go further. And what would they do? They don't want to give them the main titles. They're not going to give either one of them the North American or the main title right now. They would have to wait until next year. And to be honest, as it stands for both of them, they feel like they shouldn't be there by then because it looks like they're going to bring up the people from Evolve soon. And anybody that was on Speed, it feels like they want to get them out as quickly as possible. That's the way it feels. One of them feels like they're going to go to the main roster in the beginning of next year. So it feels like that. I did not expect Lash to win here. There was no way she was going to win. If they made her win that, it would be a downgrade. It means that basically they don't believe in her. They don't believe in her. But she lost, and I'm not surprised. She had to lose. She had to lose. There was no reason for her to win. Next, Tavion Heights and Miles Bourne, their match. This was about to see who was the best between the two. And whoever was the best would start getting some opportunities. Of course, Tavion and Miles had their well, what do I feel about Instagram being used? What do I feel about X being used? I'd rather see a basic vignette, which basically that was, but through Instagram and X. But let me give it to you like this. Do I care about these guys? No. They're not developed enough to feel important yet. Now, what are they doing with them? You got one who's basically a former Olympian, and you got one who's basically been booked as someone who's disabled with bad hearing. And instead of building them in new different ways to make them feel more important, they're sticking with what they are. And that's the problem. They need to go beyond Miles' hearing problem because he lost his hearing when he was born. And Tavion Heights as a damn Olympian because you got another one. You got Mystiles waiting to be brought up as also an Olympian. Well, no, I don't think he was an Olympian. I think he was part of the Pan American Games, I think. I can't remember. No, he was an Olympian. I think he was an Olympian. I'm blanking because I just don't feel anything from him. But the match was alright, at least until you got Josh Briggs coming out, interfering in the match. And then Miles did manage to win, even with some interference, but there was no touching by Josh onto either one. Just got wiped out. But then the beatdown happened from Josh onto Tavion. And then you got the Miles getting attacked by a little bit of Trick Willie due to the fact of what happened in the early morning. Well, not early. I know I should have started with Trick Williams trying to demand something from... I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait until the last match when it comes to Ricky, and Trick. But let me give it like this. The fourth match, I'm actually very surprised that this happened. It's not because that we get... How can I put this? I'm glad to see it. I was surprised that we got Tatum Paxley versus Lola Vice. And understand, seeing the opening with Tatum being there, raising a title, but then saying clearly, I want to do an open challenge now. I want to give everyone the same opportunity that I never got. And I'm going like, really? They're going there. They're actually going to do what's going on with Ilya Dragunov. They're doing open challenges. And hearing Nick Joseph talking about it made me feel like, really? You're making it very cliche at this point. But then using the wheel from Halloween Havoc did at least change it up a bit. And what made it more interesting was that Izzy was not on that wheel. And it was Sean who said, Izzy, your name's not on that wheel. And she's looking, and Tatum says, no. We're never going up against each other because I don't want to lose our friendship. And to Izzy, she made it very clear, I understand that. But are you sure about this? She was trying to tell her, don't just let anybody just do this. Earn it. And this feels like what they're trying to do with Izzy is to get her so pissed off that Tatum is just acting stupid that she's acting irresponsible, that instead of making people earn it like pretty much Tatum had to work their ass off to get it, Tatum's trying to do a shortcut with it and just keep making the culling look bad, because that's what it looks like is going to be going through the mind of Izzy Dane. Now, when we get the match, look what happened. Fatal Influence came out, whooped everybody's ass. That rolling forearm to the face of a Tatum Paxley looked good. And I gotta admit this, look, I love me. I mean, there's nothing wrong with any one of these women. I'm telling you right now, JC James, she gorgeous. She ain't bad looking woman. She. But I'm not gonna lie, when you look at Fallon Henley, her tits like this, she's doing everything she can to show as much of them as possible, because instead of being like this, she's like this. It was nice to see that, for me personally, because she wants to differentiate herself from the other two. Now you could say, well, you're just like titties. Who don't? I'm going to say it. Who doesn't like titties? But at least I am noticing, not just because it looked good, that Fallon is trying to stick out. Yeah, her titties are sticking out, but still, she's trying to stick out. But here's the thing. Knowing that Fallon's trying to differentiate herself from JC and Reed and I think her name is Laylee Reed. I keep forgetting her name. Here's the thing. Sooner or later, these women got to be separated. It's going to come sooner or later that JC and Fallon are going to fight one another. The question is when. I would have thought it was this year, and they basically separate the two. But they're not going there yet. So either one of them is going to the main roster, and the other one is staying. Or they're going to go in a pair. It's going to be one or the other by next year, and that's a question that I'm kind of concerned about. And I'll remind myself, hopefully, at the end of this review. But let me give you like this. The closing of the show, the TNA title, I'm going like, okay, something's going to act. There's got to be something that's going on. Look what's going on with Trick Willie. He is literally screaming at... Let me give you like this. Was the match good? Yes. Seeing that Kiani Jordan was willing to hit Jordan Grace in the face to retain her title, am I surprised? No. I am not surprised. She's never 100% acted like a good girl. She's been somewhere somewhat more heelish than pretty much... I know she's been face right now, but she, to me, has been mostly kind of heelish due to the fact of, even though she wants to prove that she can be a great leader in TNA, she's still an NXT wrestler that was always, well, in her current form, a heel. So I'm not too surprised she turned. But seeing that now Trick William and a Ricky Saints will be having a last man standing match in 2 weeks makes me think they're trying to build this up so to have something, especially going into December, because by next week we will be nearing Thanksgiving. They want to make sure that everything is done as much as they can before Thanksgiving, because I think they're just going to show repeats then. And I want to say this. Was this show bad? No. But seeing what they're doing with Blake, making it clear that, hey, you guys want a shot at my title? Okay, but I'm about to show you true hell. Okay. Seeing that Lash did not have to, well, she did job, but didn't have to get the Evolve title, which would have been a downgrade, is wise. But then I'm thinking, which one of these women, like Miss Jada Parker and Miss Last Legend, which one's going first to the main roster? Because it feels like they're preparing them. I'm just going to say this. The thing that is the most interesting, but the most... Understand this. Seeing there's going to be a last man standing match is not too surprising for Trick and Ricky. But seeing how they got there feels very formulaic. And as I've said before, this doesn't feel like Shawn Michaels booking. Let's make it clear. Shawn's never done incredibly great booking. He's done basic heel face booking. Not always good, but at least understandable. But ever since Triple H has now begun to do the influence, not just in Raw, not just in SmackDown, but now in NXT, you can see what they're doing on the main rosters here as well. It feels very formulaic. How they reach to the conclusion. Now, everyone's gonna still have to bust their ass to make it mean something, like Trick Willie and with the Absolute, but still, you can feel that it's really formulaic. Look what they did at the end. Right before Ava said, "You two want to tear each other apart," I'm gonna make it clear that both of you are not gonna walk away from this one. Last man standing's match. What did they do before she said that? They went through the panel. How many times have we seen men and women go through that damn panel right near where the fans are? Instead of using it sparingly, once in a long while, maybe once in a year, maybe twice. How many times have we seen it in this year? What, 3, 4 times already? Maybe 5. I can't even remember how many times people have gone through the panel. At least maybe 3 times already. It would have been better if it's once a year. But we didn't get that. We got it again. And I believe we had it again at that time. And many, many months again, we had it again. I think we got it 4 times this year. I might be wrong. You can tell me below. It's either 3 or 4 times. And this makes the 4th time. It feels very formulaic. It doesn't mean the matches are bad. Doesn't mean the storylines are totally trash. It doesn't mean they're not doing something with the women. But it does feel like certain parts just feel very repetitive. And I'm not saying that, again, Shawn Michaels, I'm not saying Shawn was great, because he's not. But you can tell the difference between how Shawn booked, which sometimes was kooky, compares to this, which feels very, very repetitive. But it's just me. Pace.